This is a quick review of the bony landmarks of the hand. The important things to note are the proximal row, which have scaphoid, lunate, pisiform, and triquetrium on the proximal row. And then we have a distal row, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. So starting with the proximal row, the scaphoid sits at the base of the first and the second metacarpal. So right here at the base, there's a big bone. In fact, you can find the anatomical snuff box by having the patient extend their thumb and the snuff box becomes apparent. If you stick your finger in that snuff box, the floor of that snuff box is the scaphoid. And right above it then at the base of the first is the trapezium and the trapezoid. So that's how you find it. Easy way to find the scaphoid, and then sitting right above those lined up with the first and second digit are the distal row carpal bones for that area, right? Then, if you have the person extend, you'll feel a little divot right here at the wrist. When you feel the divot, you don't even have to extend that far. If you feel the divot right here, it's usually at the base of the third metacarpal. You feel that divot, and then you have them flex the wrist. There will be a bone that pops out underneath your thumb, and that is the lunate. Now, right on top of the lunate, distal to the lunate, is the capitate. So when you are mobilizing the capitate, you need to stabilize the lunate. And again, you find the lunate by extending, feeling for the divot in the wrist, and then when you flex, the lunate will pop out into your thumb. Now, on the ulnar side, we have an easy bone to palpate. It's the pisiform bone. It's a very pointed bone here, easy to find. That pisiform is a round bone that sits on top of the triquetrium. And so if you want to stabilize the triquetrium to move the hamate, you can find it very easily by stabilizing the pisiform bone, right here. So pisiform sits on top of the triquetrium, and then the hook of the hamate is right in the meaty portion of the hypothenar eminence. So if you're mobilizing and the hand is in this position, when you reach underneath the hand, you can find with your index finger very easily that pointed bone of the pisiform that sits on the triquetrium, and then the bone just distal to that is the hamate. Now the hamate sits at the base of the fourth and the fifth. Okay, so just to review those carpal bones, the scaphoid forms the floor of the anatomical snuff box, and the trapezium at the base of the first, trapezoid at the base of the second. The lunate sits in the middle portion of that proximal row, found with a divot at the wrist, and the bone distal to that is the capitate, and that's at the base of the third metacarpal. And then at the base of the fourth and fifth metacarpal is the hamate, and the hamate sits on top of the pisiform and triquetrium. Very easy to find pisiform and triquetrium. And that is how you find the carpal bones of the hand.